The trend of downhill skaters wearing these high top basketball shoes is something that I've wanted to talk about for a while. The first one that comes to mind is Aaron Hampshire. Now, Aaron Hampshire is known for wearing his purple and black Jordans. I think they're Jordans. I'm not a shoe guy. I don't know shoes very well. But I do think that this is a topic I can speak on because it has nothing to do with brands, nothing to do with style, and everything to do with just how they perform, how they feel. Aaron Hampshire has a very fast, technical downhill style. He has immense tuck lean. He is really good in breaking zones at just placing his board and his body in the exact right place to be able to hook up and take a really good, efficient corner. He's got some insane raw runs out there, so check him out if you haven't already. But he's the first one that comes to mind that was doing this regularly. And with the advancement of brake soles in the downhill scene, it's not surprising that people are turning just any shoe that they want into a skate shoe. Now, the reason why people are setting on basketball shoes instead of skate shoes, and let's clarify what I mean. My downhill shoe of choice are the Nike Blazers. I'll get to why in a little bit. Now, the Blazers, these are the Nike SB Blazers, SB being Nike's skateboarding division. So me calling them basketball shoes feels wrong at the top level, but if I understand it correctly, Blazers are inspired by basketball shoes, at least the modern Blazer is. And this deviation, why are riders skating, shoes that have, come from basketball as their origin instead of skateboarding as their origin? Well, a typical skate shoe is going to be like a low top, like suede shoe. And this is extremely effective for traditional street skaters because of the mobility it gives your foot. You have all this freedom in your ankle to do your flick tricks. The sole is flat and usually pretty thin. Some boast more impact protection than others, but the sole is pretty thin, so you have a lot of feel on your board. You're feeling the edges of your board, the rails, so that you know how to align your feet to set up for tricks without having to look down. This shoe is all about board feel, all about ankle mobility, and some about impact protection. Downhill skateboarding does not necessarily need ankle mobility. Some would argue otherwise, especially for stances where you're getting down really low, like a squat stance or like a Coleman stance. If you have good form, kind of seems like your ankles are going to be doing a lot of work, a lot of twisting. What basketball shoes are offering that these don't is the side-to-side support. Now think of a basketball player. They are trying to dribble and change direction around their opponents. They're trying to be able to juke, and so they have to put their entire body weight through the edge of their shoe. And having a big surface, a big wall that laces really high so you can cinch it around your foot, makes it really natural to be supported by this shoe. Downhill skateboarders need that too, because when we're skating, we're using soft longboard wheels that have exceptional amounts of grip. If you think of your typical street skater, they are on very hard, small street wheels, wheels that are designed to slide extremely easy to enable some of the more technical aspects of the sport, like grinding on rails with little resistance, or sliding on ledges, or doing reverts, or grinding coping, landing spin tricks like 180s or frontside, or I should say backside flips, and being able to land with the board not fully rotated and be able to pivot, kind of slide on landing. Those hard wheels mean that skateboarders are not cornering very hard. All of the force that a skateboarder is experiencing is straight down through their feet. So side-to-side support is not at all priority for a manufacturer that's trying to develop a skate shoe that's going to please the masses, that's going to sell really well. Now, some skaters, and I mean this is why this product exists, like the ankle support. Maybe they like it for their impacts. Maybe they have had like ankle rolling or things like that. Just for like safety reasons or feel reasons, they like a more supportive shoe. But downhill skaters thrive from a supported shoe. Now this is kind of, I said this the other day, the slop that nobody talks about is when your foot is sliding inside your shoe. That is, to me, extremely disconcerting. It makes it really hard to take good lines and to kind of hook up slides predictably. It's almost as if your feet are just sliding on your board at that point. Now, I still own and use typical low top skate shoes all the time because at the end of the day, I'm still a street skater just as much as I am a downhill skater. These are exactly what I need. I really would not want to do any sort of street skating in this style of shoe. I like the flow that I get with this type of shoe. I like the ankle mobility for kickflips, and this is just too restrictive and also too small. One thing that I do in particular when I'm ordering shoes is I try to get a half size or a full size down. So I'm speaking in like standard United States sizing. I wear a size 13 shoe, but this is a size 12, and so is this. And that means that the first month of breaking these in is kind of bad, and I have to be very wary to not get bad blisters. But once they're broken in, the way that they hug my foot is not unlike a snowboard binding. Snowboarders and skiers know the value of this, know the value of locking down your foot inside your shoe, because it drastically changes the way that you interact with the board, which interacts with the road. So snowboard boot meant to be so tight. Ski boot is meant to be even tighter. And why not take those principles and apply them to our lovely little sport? So I have not tried the Jordans for downhill. One thing that I recommend doing if you are venturing outside of standard skate shoes, buy yourself some brake soles, look up a video on how to apply them. I think Bay Area Longboarder has a good instructional video on how to apply brake soles. The one thing that skate shoes have that's extremely advantageous over just going out and buying something else is that the soles are designed to interact with grip tape well, and that's something that we still really want and need at the end of the day, is that good friction surface. The reason I like the Blazer as opposed to some other high tops, the first one that comes to mind is Vans. The Vans that I've had in the past just tend to blow out. And by blow out, I mean that the threads loosen, that the panels stretch a ton, and immediately my feet are not at all secure in the shoe. I've owned a number of Vans now, and every single time that I've had them, I've been disappointed in the durability, been disappointed in the fit. Yes, they're extremely comfortable. Yes, I think they're decent for street skating, although I still don't think the durability is enough for street skating. But for downhill skating, they just loosen way too fast, and then you have to chase them by constantly tightening down your laces, and then even then you get to a point where that's not effective anymore. Converse, I would more generally avoid that just because canvas is not a material that holds up to abrasion very well. I'm sure Converse has some models that are not canvas and are more suede or leather, but that comes to mind. Skaters in general should be avoiding canvas shoes, especially downhill skaters, because when we're bailing on a slide and you're sliding on your hands and feet, and sometimes knee pads if you wear knee pads, that canvas is going to get abraded so much by the road surface, and once that canvas is worn through, your sock is not going to last much longer, and then you've got bare skin on the road. And I've seen some nasty injuries from people that are not taking care of their shoes or are wearing improper materials for downhill skating. So always get suede or leather. Just as much as shoes are a fashion thing and a utility for downhill skaters, they're also a part of our safety. You can see here that I use shoe goo when my toes are getting thin so that I can protect myself from blowing out in the toes. I do a lot of high sides where I'm sliding on my knee pads and my foot is grinding against the ground like that. That wears that material there really thin. I don't want to grind my toes away. So when my shoes wear down too much, put a toe cap on there of shoe goo in order to protect them further. And then some other abrasion areas that I try to get ahead of before there's a hole. Shoe goo is a lot more effective if there already isn't a hole. So if you know that you're going to blow out like a seam here or a seam on the side here is a common place I get it from, like low siding on toe sides and my foot kind of goes sideways. Shoe goo is your friend. I've used many tubes of it over the course of my life on both my street shoes and on my downhill shoes. You can see this side is not dirty. This is all just shoe goo that's been ground down. So let me know what you think. If you have any arguments for why you should still be skating in traditional skate shoes, let me know. I find that this topic is more valuable to people that do like fast downhill styles where you're trying to use grippy wheels to get down the hill as fast as possible, to take optimal lines through corners, to maximize the braking force that you get. Those are the people that are going to see the most benefit from a very supportive shoe like this. If you're primarily skating freeride wheels, yes, getting a shoe that fits your foot better is going to improve your feeling and your interactions with the board. However, the interactions are going to not be necessarily as valuable because your wheels aren't imparting as much force through the board, through your shoes, and into your body. So just something to know. As always, thank you so much to my patrons. If you want to check out my Patreon, I've got 5 hours of content uploaded there and some pretty cool rewards if you choose to pay more than that $3 minimum bracket. On the screen now are all my current patrons. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you. We got a cool community over there. Also, patrons decide what my big gear reviews are going to be. With that budget, I buy skate gear that gets reviewed. So very recently, we had a little bit of a poll in the Patreon. Other than that, you guys know that my best content, the content that I'm most passionate about, is going to come here on YouTube where you can see it. So stick around, subscribe, like. I appreciate you all so very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.